Hello, thanks for coming tonight, and thank you so much to Browzwear and FIT for putting on an event like this. It really is great to get together in person and share stories and, make things better for the industry. So, anywho, hopefully you'll find some pearls of wisdom that you can take away tonight and use on your 3D journey. Otherwise, we all know adopting new technology is never easy for the people that have to go through the change and learn a new software. But we found if you take the time to employ some simple tactics, you can gain that buy-in you need and make that transformation a little smoother. Okay, so before I get to the good stuff, I just want to set the scene for those who may not be familiar with Kohl as a company. We're a leading omni-channel retailer with over 1,100 locations across the country, and we're committed to inspiring families to lead fulfilled lives. And we do this online and in-store by providing amazing brands, incredible savings, easy experience, and by giving back to the communities that we serve, resulting in over $750 million in support since the program's founding. And as I mentioned, we have amazing brands, and they're focused on the active and casual lifestyle. And at Kohl's, we carry a mix of both national brands that everyone knows and loves, such as Under Armour, and also private brands that you know and love and only can get at Kohl's. And with our commitment to our communities, we make sure we're offering diverse and inclusive brands throughout the assortment of national and private brands. So there's a lot for us to consider and balance as we develop and assort our products. So myself and my team support our private brand teams that develop product. And these brands are a healthy portion of our mix, and they cover all product categories, apparel, accessories, footwear, and home. And we have internal team members and external partners located all over the US and the globe. Now, with all of that said, tonight I want to focus on our transformation journey in apparel and our goal to upskill our tech design, and art teams in Browzwear to work more collaboratively together and with our vendors. And now here's where it gets good. For our team, it was important we spent time leveraging 3 tactics in order to meet this goal. The first being understanding. So to take the time to build the knowledge of our business teams and vendors, to put ourselves in their shoes, to really understand their problems, concerns, capabilities, and to also share with them our vision, ensuring they understand it, means we could connect with them in a more meaningful way, and everybody could walk away united around a common purpose. Now, let me take you through some of the problems and concerns our business teams and vendors faced. For technical design, the need to have easier and broader access to 2D tools for pattern adjustments was very important. The team wanted a solution that was easier to use than the current one they had, while also offering all of the same key functionality. For design, they wanted to make sure that anything that was created in the 3D software was as close to physical as possible for material and color. And for our art teams, they needed a way to show variations in print and pattern scale to their design, merchant, and vendor partners, which had become increasingly tricky as we were all working virtually. And then, all of the teams expressed the concern around workload. How can a solution help them ease the amount of work by allowing more effective communication without necessarily taking more time than it currently does? Or at least, minimally the same amount of time. And then on the flip side, our vendors, they were concerned about if they make an investment, will Kohl's be committed? Especially for those vendors who had not yet invested in Browzwear or upskilled their own staff and recruited to have more staff to appropriately support our initiative. Now, with the understanding of all the challenges we faced, we took care to really think through our solution, our rollout, our communication, with an aim to keep things as simple as possible. For us, this meant not overcomplicating the workflow with multiple tools. And so based on all of the needs of our business teams and their limited bandwidth, we decided to move forward with only Browzwear. And this decision enabled us to keep the teams focused on learning one solution. It avoided them feeling overwhelmed by having to learn 2 or more different ways to create 3D models and remember the reasons why they would or should use one tool or the other. And it also avoided them having to give direction to our vendor partners who had multiple tools, like which software they should be using when they sample for us. And this also extended to our team. It meant that we didn't have to create multiple material libraries to satisfy multiple solutions. Something that could have become increasingly difficult with the various private brands that we develop. And then beyond, just the selection of one 3D software, the simplification we employed went further into each of the business teams. Because Browzwear has both Loda and vStitcher, we were able to make sure that we streamlined our experience for each of those teams. And if you're not familiar with the 2 versions that Browzwear has, I'll tell you about them high level. So vStitcher, it allows you to use or to create 3D models, adjust patterns, and apply style lines, color, material, and print pattern, amongst all the other fantastic things that it can do. Whereas Loda only allows a user to adjust an existing 3D model and just apply those style lines, materials, colors, and prints and patterns. So for our art team, we trained them in Loda since their need was only to see those prints and patterns and colors applied to 3D models. And this meant they could be moving through the learnings much easier and faster. And they had a gentler learning curve. And so they could quickly use the tool in their day-to-day process, reinforcing their learnings with lots of practical practice. And then for our technical design teams, based on the needs that they had in the 2D realm and the 3D realm, we were able to eliminate their existing 2D patterning tool. And again, keep them focused on using vStitcher because it could cover all the key functionalities of that current tool. And with Browzwear as our tool of choice, we were able to really craft clear goals for adoption, simplifying our message to our business teams and vendors. And we could speak clearly to the software's abilities, efficiencies, benefits, while also being able to speak about the time commitment that would be required from each of the teams to upskill. And this information really enabled us to gain that alignment we needed from the business teams and move forward in the way we wanted to. And then in turn, with that commitment, our vendor partners felt confident that we were coming in, we were all in, and they made the investment. And speaking of our vendor partners, that brings me to the 3rd tactic, partnering with Browzwear. So our Browzwear partners were critical in enabling our teams to adopt the tool. Browzwear worked with us to understand key functions our business teams needed, and they walked us through each of the solutions that they had to address those needs. And in particular, these functions like walking a pattern, slashing and spreading, and adjusting or seeing original pattern lines against the adjusted ones were easily executed in the tool. And this meant our tech design teams could rely on this tool for their core functions, and then also easily see how their patterns, as they change, translated into the garments by creating 3D models. Browzwear also collaborated with us to build a training tailored to highlight these key functions important to our tech design teams. And while also highlighting how the software can encourage creativity, amplify that collaboration, and improve communication within their process. This resonated so well with our tech designers. They were eager to jump into the 3D training more deeply and were able to incorporate 3D anywhere they could in their daily workload. Our Browzwear partners also listened to our feedback when we asked for Browzwear University to be opened up. For us, this meant the learner had flexibility to pick and choose what they wanted to take, not requiring them to do it in a particular order or finish one module over another. And this allowed our team to be strategic with what modules the team members would take. And we outlined a path that ensured they weren't expending any extra time or energy doing anything or learning anything that was not essential to their role or function within the process. And this approach, it helped calm those workload concerns that they had, and it gave them that confidence to change how they were working with our vendors. So using the 3 tactics, we were able to upskill all of our apparel TDs and artists, and at this point, about half of our designers. Our vendor partners that had not yet purchased Browzwear have now, or key vendor partners, I should say, that have not yet purchased Browzwear have made that investment and upskilled. And then our business teams improved the communication and collaboration in their process. And a great example of this is how our technical design team was able to improve fit by leveraging Browzwear. Our women's team, they received some customer feedback that kind of called into question the consistency of the fit. And armed with this information, they set out to figure out where those problems were lying and solve them. This time, however, they had Browzwear as a secret weapon. And using the 3D models, they could look at the grading across every size in depth. And if you all are familiar with the fit process, if we tried to do this in the physical world, it would have been nearly impossible. I mean, we would have had to get fit models for every single size. We have a pretty wide size range that we offer. And you, in person, would have a hard time seeing those changes visually across all of those fit models. And not to mention the fact that it would take a lot of time, coordination, and cost to make all of that happen. But instead, they could use 3D models to visually walk through the fit with their production, design, and merchant partners, as well as show them exactly how the proposed solutions would look. And this really helped the team tell the story visually with clarity on what needed to change and why, and helped them gain that alignment they needed to improve the product for the customer, all without ordering a single new sample. So, understanding, simplifying, and partnering, they take time, for sure. And we all know adopting a new technology can be scary and stressful. But if you invest the time in the people that are going through the change, you'll find it pays off, and pretty soon you'll be rolling out success. Thank you.